You check your bank account, you've been working for years, you skipped vacations, you said no to nights out, you tried investing, and somehow, you're sitting at $12,843. And you're thinking, how do people ever get to $100,000, and why does it feel impossible? Look, if that's you, that's literally most people. Because here's the thing. The first $100,000 feels painfully slow, but once you hit it, the next $100,000 can happen in less than half the time. And today, I'm going to show you the exact math behind that, and the psychology that makes it feel so hard at the beginning. My name is Bruce, and I spend way too much time thinking about wealth building and compound growth. If you're someone who feels stuck financially, like you're working hard but not seeing real progress, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out, because this might completely change how you see money. There's an old quote often attributed to Charlie Munger that says, "The first $100,000 is a bah, but you gotta do it." And he wasn't exaggerating, because the first $100,000 is not about investing skill. It's about behavior. It's about identity. It's about surviving the boring middle. According to data from the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth for Americans under 35 is under $40,000. That means most people never even get close to $100,000 early on. Now here's the math example. Let's say you invest $1,000 per month, earn an average 8% annual return, reinvest everything. How long does it take to hit $100,000? Just under 7 years. But here's where it gets interesting. After you hit $100,000, you keep investing the same $1,000 per month. With that same 8% return, it only takes about 2 to 3 more years to reach $200,000. Same behavior, same investing, half the time. Why? Because now your money is working harder than you are. At $10,000 invested, an 8% return gives you $800 per year. That's nice. At $100,000, that same 8% gives you $8,000 per year. At $200,000, that's $16,000 per year. Notice something? The growth starts compounding on itself. You're no longer building wealth alone. You have momentum, and momentum changes everything. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Bruce, cool math, but I don't make enough to invest $1,000 a month. Fair. But here's the deeper issue. Most people quit before the curve bends, because humans are terrible at understanding exponential growth. Psychologists call this exponential growth bias. We expect linear results, but wealth grows exponentially. And in the beginning, exponential growth looks like nothing. It looks boring. It looks disappointing. It looks like $1,000, $3,000, $7,000, $12,000. It doesn't look impressive. And it doesn't feel life-changing, so people stop right before it gets powerful. Building your first $100,000 is like going to the gym. For the first 3 months, you look the same. You feel slightly better, but nobody notices. Then suddenly around month 6, people say, "Hey, have you been working out?" Compounding is exactly like that. You don't notice the progress until it becomes obvious, but only if you stick around long enough. Here's what most people don't realize. The first $100,000 is mostly built from savings rate. The second $100,000 is mostly built from growth. Let me explain. In the early stage, 80 to 90% of your net worth growth comes from what you contribute. But once you cross 6 figures, your investments start contributing almost as much as you do. At $100,000 invested with 8% growth, you earn $8,000 without doing anything. That's like getting a raise. And that raise grows every year. This is why the wealthy focus on assets early, because once the snowball gets big enough, it rolls itself. Let's break down a realistic example. Imagine someone earning $60,000 per year. After taxes, maybe they take home $45,000. If they save 20%, that's $9,000 per year, invested at 8%. Year 1, $9,720. Year 2, $20,318. Year 3, $31,885. Year 4, $44,516. Year 5, $58,317. Year 6, $73,404. Year 7, approximately $89,900. Year 8, approximately $108,000. That's about 8 years. But notice something. Between year 7 and year 8, the jump is nearly $20,000 because growth is accelerating. That acceleration is the key. Now imagine you're at $100,000. You continue saving $9,000 per year. Your 8% return now produces $8,000 annually. So combined, You're effectively adding $17,000 plus per year. That's why the next $100,000 can happen in 3 to 4 years. And if your income increases along the way, even faster. Now you might be thinking, Bruce, investing isn't guaranteed. What about market crashes? Great question. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% annually before inflation over long periods. Yes, some years are negative, but over 20-plus year windows, it has consistently trended upward. The problem is not volatility. The problem is quitting during volatility, because compounding only works if you don't interrupt it. This is where people level up. The first $100,000 isn't just about money. It's about becoming the type of person who lives below their means, invests consistently, thinks long-term, doesn't panic. Once you become that person, the second $100,000 isn't harder. It's inevitable. Here's what most people don't realize. Your savings rate matters more than your investment return in the beginning. If you increase your income from $60,000 to $80,000 and keep your lifestyle similar, your timeline collapses. Most millionaires aren't just good investors, they're good earners. According to IRS data, higher income households have significantly higher net worth accumulation rates, not because they're smarter, but because they have margin. Margin creates investing power. Once spoke to someone who hit $100,000 at age 32. It took him 9 years. He felt behind, discouraged, like he should have done better. But by 36, he was at $250,000. What changed? Nothing dramatic. Same index funds, same discipline. The only difference? Time plus compounding. He didn't get smarter, he got consistent. If you want to reach your first $100,000 faster, 1. Increase savings rate. First aim for 20 to 30%, not forever, just until you hit 6 figures. 2. Automate everything, remove decision-making. Auto-invest every paycheck. 3. Focus on broad index funds. Simple beats complicated. 4. Increase income, aggressively negotiate. Upskill, side hustle. Your income is your wealth-building engine. 5. Stop checking. Daily wealth grows quietly. Checking constantly kills motivation. The first $100,000 feels slow because you're building habits. You're fighting lifestyle inflation. You're resisting comparison. You're doubting yourself. But once you cross it, you stop asking, will this work? And start asking, how big can this get? That shift is powerful. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will never reach $100,000 invested, not because they can't, but because they stop, right before momentum kicks in. Compounding rewards patience, and punishes impatience. The first $100,000 builds the machine. The second $100,000 is the machine working. Look, you don't need to be a genius. You don't need to time the market. You don't need crypto secrets. You need discipline long enough for math to take over. If you commit today, seriously commit, to becoming the type of person who invests consistently, 7 years from now, your life looks completely different. And once you hit that first $100,000, you'll finally understand why the wealthy say, it gets easier. Because it does. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of most people. Hit subscribe if you're serious about building real wealth, and I'll see you in the next one.